Hey everybody, welcome to Camel City Chat. I'm John McPherson, and I am here with someone that actually acknowledges me in public. That's right, 4-time All-Conference, 2-time All-American, Avery Hall Senior.
Senior,
We got to
that's
say
right.
senior.
You have to have senior now because
We have to have senior.
I've got a young'un who carries my name, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Probably for him, rather.
Right, yeah, but it's so good to have you here.
John, it's good to be here, and I appreciate the invitation and look forward to chatting with you
And learning.
and maybe asking you some questions.
No,
as well,
no, we've already had this. So we were in school together. You got there in '89, and I left in '91. You left in '92 and graduated in '93, basically,
That's
right?
exactly right.
Okay. So we have about 5 questions that I always try to ask guests. The first 3 are always the same, and then we get into the good stuff and learn about the red elephants and things like that. So it's really a red elephant.
They're really red elephants.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that story too.
Okay. So question 1 is, where are you from, and how long have you been in the Triad?
Good. Okay, great question again. I'm originally from Gainesville, Georgia, and you were talking about the red elephants. I grew up in Gainesville, Georgia, which is about 45 to 55 minutes from Atlanta.
Right.
And it's in northeast Georgia. And Gainesville is pretty known for its football program.
And poultry.
And poultry. It is the poultry capital of the world.
Right.
That's probably why so many kids around there have asthma, all the poultry plants around the town where I grew up, and I'll talk a little bit about where I grew up in a second. But home of the red elephants, and I emphasize that because we are pretty proud of our football program. Home of obviously Deshaun Watson played there. Alexander Johnson, who's my nephew, my sister's son, was a starting linebacker for the Denver Broncos. He played at Gainesville High. So that's a proud data point from Gainesville. But John grew up in Gainesville, meager resources, and I'm kind of proud of that. A lot of times when you talk about meager resources, people tend to kind of put their head down and say, woe is me. But I tell you what, growing up in Gainesville, in a supportive community, even though we didn't have a lot of money, my mother was a very hard-working individual. My father was not around, but my mother worked 2 or 3 jobs to make sure that my sister and my younger brother, older sister and my younger brother were taken care of for relative to the basics of what we needed. And she was big on keeping us busy. And when I say keeping us busy, that's how football came into play. She had me in Cub Scouts. She had me in, matter of fact, I was the first African American in Hall County to earn, and I say earn because she made me earn it, my Arrow of Light as a Cub Scout. So
Wow.
Grew up right there in Gainesville, and then she got me into obviously sports, and I got excited because you watch your cousins, you watch other family members play for the Red Elephants, and you grew up wanting to be a Red Elephant, and so that was an exciting time. But growing up, there in Gainesville, John, I tell people the genesis of a lot of my success started in Gainesville. And it started in Gainesville because, again, growing up meager resources, you quickly learn humility, okay? Because, again, wearing Cougars, C-U-G-A, and not Nikes, you learn humility,
Right.
Growing up, having to work as well as go to football practice, and not work to have spending money, but work to help your family. That taught you, accountability. That taught you hard work. And as I shared with you, my mother was a very, very hard worker, and so I picked that up from her. And matter of fact, would go along with her sometimes to some of her odd jobs as a domestic help. Raking leaves, hauling coal, doing whatever to make money to help the family. But I learned so much, and that's why I kind of lean in on my background growing up without a lot in Gainesville, because that's where I learned toughness. That's where I learned humility. That's where I learned accountability, and plan for a successful program going into Appalachian, John. I was prepared because we had learned how to compete. We had learned how to be accountable. We expected to win at Gainesville, and when I got to Appalachian, that's kind of the attitude or the mindset that I took into ASU. But Gainesville is where I'm from. Great community, and again, I'm just proud to be from that community.
And I know you said family was huge to you, and that's why Appalachian appealed to you, and we'll talk about that. It's interesting. I think that where you live now, the heart of the Triad, of course, as they will have me, say, because that's their logo. Do you think you find some of that in Kernersville as well, too?
Absolutely.
I figured that's why you live there.
And I found that, too, just really in Winston-Salem. Because let me tell you something about Winston-Salem through my lens. Winston-Salem is a large just a large city, significant sized city, but it still has a small town flavor to it. Okay, and then you go to Kernersville, and it's even more amplified. That small town flavor. When you go to the grocery store in Kernersville, you see people in the community. I'm in Rotary. I'm on the Novant board. I mean, I do a lot of things in the community.
Man, you're getting on to page 2 here, okay?
But I just talk about that small town feel. You see people in the grocery store. You see people as you're out and about at the YMCA and various places. I was able to raise my kids in a great community. And when I say a great community, what are the attributes of a great community? One, safety. It's safe. I told you I grew up, in public housing, and that was, you always had issues sometimes. But I was able to raise my kids in a safe environment. I was able, John, to raise my kids in a school system that was strong, had great teachers who cared about young people. Obviously, I got involved with PTA. I got involved with the Booster Club at the high school, but my kids went to Piney Grove Elementary. They went to Kernersville Middle School, and they went to East Forsyth High School. And all of those stops just reminded me of, when I was at Gainesville, going to Enota, Fair Street, and then Gainesville High School, or Gainesville Middle School, and then Gainesville High School. But Kernersville reminds me of Gainesville. Obviously, I'm in a different social economic environment, which is more pleasant.
Well, as I've heard you say before, you can pay for more than attention now.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Back when we were growing up, we couldn't pay attention. But now, we still live, modest lifestyle, John. Still live in the same house I purchased 22 years ago. But now Christy and I try and help others. And you, as you know, we're donors at Appalachia. We're donors at Winston-Salem State. We give to the Second Harvest Food Bank. We give to Novant. We give, we're in a different phase now, and money means something a little different to me than others, But Kernersville is a great community, and we thoroughly enjoyed it, and wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
When you were coming in, Luann was asking me, it's like, now who is this? And I said, you just got to know him, and I'll give you one accolade right now, but I mean, I'll get sappy on you because I don't think people that don't know Avery, you're missing out. If I needed something, if it's a job, if it's advice, if it's something like that, we don't talk very often, but I know one of the first hands to pull me out of a hole would be yours. You are like that to everyone that you meet throughout your life. I know you have a strong faith. We're going to talk about that. But you truly are one of the first people that I believe will pull someone out of something and help. And I mean, that's just God's blessing that he's given us you.
John, and again, I was just telling you about my background. And I probably spent a little time on Gainesville in my background because, you remember I told you I feel like I'm blessed that I grew up that way? Well, when you grow up a certain way, you learn to empathize. You learn to, like I said, have humility. And everybody's story is so different. What I've learned, at Appalachian, I learned, of course, teamwork. I learned how to build relationships. Even on campus, I hope that you would say, Avery was, a 4-time All, Southern Conference, 2-time All-American, Player of the Year, senior year. I know you would say that, but I hope you would say Avery was a good guy on campus.
No, I wouldn't have said that. I would say he's a great guy.
But what I'm saying is what I'm trying to emphasize here is you learn that success is vast. And the definition of success is vast. And just because in your world things are going great or things are closer to perfect, that's not the case for everybody. And what I have learned, like I said, everybody has a story. I don't care if you're wealthy or poor. Everybody's got a story, John. And so if we don't have the mindset of wanting to help folks and make this world a better place, I mean, we're missing out. We're missing out because there's so much to life. There's so much to happiness than just, some of the things we covet, like, money, cars, houses. There are relationships, man, and relationships make this world go around. And that's one thing I learned growing up. That's one thing I learned at Appalachian. That's one thing I've learned in my corporate career is that relationships are important. And so you talk about helping people. Man, what are we here for? and I'll stop there and pause there because I can go on about that.
Yeah, no,
but life is precious, and again, I think we all have a responsibility to make this world a better place.
Absolutely. And you've got a couple things in you have some really good friends. And you have some really good friends doing some really amazing things. But I'll get back to that because this is something that I said one time stupid to somebody and I realized that it probably was a good thing to say to them, but okay. So I digress. Second question.
Everything's on the table. We're going to be transparent.
We may be here for 2 hours. But second question is this. What is your favorite place to eat?
Okay, I have several.
Okay.
Again, because I'm kind of. You can look at my waistline and tell that I don't.
Yeah, that's when I'm at Starbucks and they ask me, "Do you want whipped cream on that?" And I'm like, yeah. Or
But here in Winston Salem, I enjoy Cagney's on Stratford Road. I enjoy Omega House for breakfast. In Kernersville, I love Out West. I love the seafood shack.
Out West is good.
Out West is the best kept secret in the
What
Triad.
about J. Peppers?
Oh, love J. Peppers. Yeah. Now I go to J. Peppers for lunch. I take a lot of clients, and when I'm doing civic work, we go to J. Peppers. Yep. Enjoy J. Peppers. You must have seen me there.
No. I just know J. Peppers because we've got that office in front of the Lowe's there now.
Okay.
So, and I'll tell you, know what's good? The pizza place in that shopping center wasn't too bad. I got wings there one day.
Oh yeah. It's all pretty good. You talking about Elizabeth's right there?
No. This is the one that's the new one in the Lowe's shopping center.
The Lowe's shopping center. That's near the Jimmy. Jersey Mike's or something.
Right, yeah. Check that place. That's not too bad. I'll meet you there.
Okay. I will. I don't miss a meal, so I'll be glad.
And I'm not far behind you. Now, all right, so we've asked where you're from. You didn't say how long you've been in the Triad. Is it 94?
Moved to the Triad in 1994.
Okay, right.
And so I've been in the Triad.
And you started with what bank was that then?
It was actually First Union, and then, of course,
Wachovia. Onion, then Wachovia.
And then Wells Fargo.
Right.
But I lived in Winston-Salem from 94 through 2000. And then on my first child, when Christy and I had Avery Jr., we moved to Kernersville.
Right.
We sold our house here and moved over to Kernersville, get a little more room.
Right. Yeah. All right. So the next thing is, if anybody goes to your Facebook page, there's always like 25 people in a picture with you. Just so you know. Okay. He has friends. So what do you like to do with your time? I mean, obviously there's the core four of you all, but what do you like to do in and around the Triad that makes you happy?
I tell you what, that's a good question, John. I try and keep things simple, try and keep life simple. If the perfect day is obviously spending time with my family. Right. I love spending time with my family. My wife of 26 years. My son, who's a senior at Appalachian, graduates in May, has more eligibility as an athlete, will probably stay and work on a master's degree or certificate. My daughter, who's a sophomore at Winston-Salem State, been involved with all of their activities. So that keeps happening. And anything they're doing, I love to be involved with. But I also enjoy civic work. And I also enjoy, doing things that I have a passion for. Okay? And if you got a passion for things, John, you'll stick to it, because a lot of people kind of bounce around. But I love helping the least of thee. Okay, people who are at a disadvantage. I love helping young people. So again, that's why I'm involved with hospital. Again, you're touching people and you're helping people with health outcomes that sometimes you have to educate. And I know Novant does a great job of not only advocating and helping, but providing good care. I've been, like I said, PTA. President, secretary, and all that stuff, and Booster Club president, because again, you're able to touch young people, not just my kids, but all young people. Even at Winston-Salem State, I love talking to the girls over there, because again, you just learn so
Coach
much
is awesome.
about young people. Yeah. Coach Lamont is, and Appalachian, I stay involved, wherever I can help young people. I enjoy. I know I don't look like it, but I can show you my Fitbit statistics, and
I know
I'm in decent shape for a big man.
Shape. Yeah.
Resting heart rate of 60, blood pressure 120/80. But I enjoy working out. I walk probably 5 or 6 times a week. Incline of 15, 4 miles per hour. Then I do my calisthenics, push-ups, things of that nature.
You've been to the new weight room? At the Rock?
At the Rock. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's nice.
What do you mean it's nice?
It's not like what we use, but you know what? The key is getting stronger. So hopefully it's not too nice. Because I
Holy
remember
cow.
when Chip Sigmund and Mike Kent and all those guys, we used to work out at Varsity Gym. And
In
then
the
we
pit.
moved the pit. And then we moved up. We got a nice weight room, but it is extremely nice. But those are the things I enjoy
Turf
reading.
in the weight room, they got turf.
It's amazing. These kids have it made. But those are the things
And
I
they've
enjoy
got a
doing.
barber in there, too.
I know. Well, that's good, though. That's good because, again,
It gets us recruits.
it gets recruits, but also, too, it provides a service. I mean, I had a guy, my fraternity brother used to have to cut my hair in Boone.
I was going to ask you, what fraternity are you?
Phi Beta Sigma.
Phi Beta Sigma. Okay. So you guys weren't on campus.
We were. We were.
It was Alpha, Kappa, and
Omega initially.
Right. And then
When you left to 92, we chartered Phi Beta Sigma.
I was IFC president in 90.
Okay.
So I was, and this is how stupid John is, you know, I asked if I could go online just to understand it since I was going to be president of all the fraternities, and they're like, we'd kill you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but
it's a little.
so
it's a
I
little
did
tougher.
not know what I knew you were in a fraternity, but I didn't know which one it was. I thought you were a Q.
Okay, no,
because
no.
I didn't remember Phi Beta Sigma, but they came on the year after.
that's
just like
right.
I think ATO came on the year after.
That's
I left.
exactly right.
Right.
Well, and see, John, you probably don't remember this. I used to bounce IFC parties. I don't know
Right.
if you
Well,
remember
no.
that.
So, and we're going to talk about Genos and all that good stuff. Don't worry. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We'll get the camera going ready again here because let's take a break, get a drink of water, and then we'll talk some more. Okay.
I look forward to it.
We'll be right back with more Camel City Chat in Avery Hall. Welcome back, everybody, to Camel City Chat. I'm John McPherson. I'm here with Avery Hall, and we've been catching up. We got some stories to tell. I had 3 people I could have called to really get the background on you, but I could have gone to the wall outside of the cafeteria and Hollywood, maybe get Hollywood to call. I don't have his number. Could have called Steve, Catherine Perry. I could have called. So I had some
Absolutely.
people. So let's go, right? I didn't even ask you about if you went to Lake Lanier and played in the lake or anything.
Man,
like that.
all the time.
I figure as much.
All
All
the
right.
time.
So here we
Lake
go.
Lanier that's our claim to fame as well.
And what was it like when you got to go to Atlanta with Mom?
You know what? Atlanta that was like a long trip back then. Again,
It's
it was
like
only
from going Clemens to Haynes Mall took 20 minutes,
Exactly.
and we thought we were in the car for an hour, so that'd be like a 3-hour trip, even though it's 45 minutes.
That's exactly right. When we would go to Atlanta, John, we thought we were going, quote, out of town. It's
Right.
kind of like when I moved to the Triad.
Right.
When I originally moved to the Triad in 1994, I was talking with some folks from Winston-Salem, and we were doing some planning, and they said, well, listen, I've got to go out of town, and so I'll be back at such and such time, and then we can connect then. I said, well, where are you going?
Greensboro.
Greensboro. I was like, out of town? But that's how it was with Gainesville and Atlanta.
All right, so I think that there's so many aspects of you, and one that I want to talk about is because I'm a fan. I mean, have you done the Black and Gold podcast? Do we need to tell Big C and them to get you on there? Have you done that?
I've not done that. I'm
gonna send them a message. Tell them I scooped their guests.
Okay.
All right, so Indiana, Wisconsin, thank God not ECU, and Georgia Tech. I didn't say that, did I? So you're committed to Indiana. Mm-hmm. You've gone on 4 visits. Mm-hmm. And you go to beautiful Boone, North Carolina, located 3,333 feet above sea level with 3 national championships, and you fall in love. Not only do you fall in love, you fall in love. So you were there from 89 to 92, defensive lineman. You met Christy there.
Yep, that's
All
right.
So tell me a little bit about Boone and that type of thing and why you chose that. Because obviously at that point, you were looking at 3 Division I schools, mm-hmm. and you chose a Division I AA school.
Absolutely.
Football, what is it? Football
FCS
Bowl,
now.
FBS, and chose FCS. Right.
That's exactly right.
Right.
In today's parlance. That's
Yeah.
right. Well, it was it's interesting. Nowadays these kids throw out, I've got an offer from this school or that school. John, I had 42 different offers when I went back and counted all the offers. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, South Carolina all offered me, and plus I visited Indiana, Wisconsin, Georgia Tech, ECU. Committed to IU, Coach Floyd Keith.
Interesting to me that you would that because that's just they weren't really known for football as much back then.
They were pretty good. They had Anthony Thompson, the running back then, and they were pretty good. But you got to understand,
you had
too.
Sparky Woods.
Yeah, but I'll talk about that in a second. But, you got to understand, first time jumping on a plane when I went to Wisconsin, hadn't really stayed in a hotel. Because, again, when Atlanta was out of town, but we'd always come back home. I had never been to a beach before I got to college because, again, we just didn't go to the beach. We didn't take vacations. So when I traveled to Wisconsin, Indiana, East Carolina, all these places, man, it was pretty attractive. When I got to IU, I got a chance to meet Bobby Knight at a basketball game. They played Ohio State that night. They provided a steak that was about that thick. And now I know it was a cowboy ribeye, but I didn't know back then but I just knew it was that thick. And I met a lot of great people. And so I said, I think this is where I want to go. Now, keep in mind, when Georgia didn't offer me, it was just open. It was an open recruiting process for me. So I committed to IU. Coach Sparky Woods. Coach Woods and Coach Bobby.
Wait a minute, you played with Bjorn then, didn't you?
Bjorn, no, he
had graduated. He graduated. Okay, yeah, I'm like.
But I did play with Bjorn when I played arena football.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
And that was with the Charlotte Rage.
Right.
But it was interesting because Coach Bobby, David Bobby, and Coach Sparky Woods called me up and said, "Listen, we know you committed to IU, but you said you'd come visit us." And
man of my word.
And man of my word.
Right.
And it was interesting. Go back to the story. Coach Woods brought the entire coaching staff to Gainesville, and these guys got out of a car, nice car, all had on trench coaches because they're coming from Boone.
Right.
And
man, it's summertime now.
And I felt pretty important. And everybody in the neighborhood was like, who are these guys coming in the house? So he brought the whole coach staff there. So I ended up visiting. Do you remember Keith Collins, who played defensive back? He also played a little in the NFL with the Indianapolis Colts. He was
I
an
recognize the name.
Keith Collins, W.C. Murphy, Gary Dandridge, all those guys. I met on my visit to Appalachian, Mark Moore, Mark Mayo. Right. I met all these guys, and again, they had rings because they had won the conference in '86 and '87. You remember that?
Oh yeah. I got there in '86.
Had a great visit. Appalachian was used to be a teacher's college. Now it's Appalachian State University, but I met people who I felt really comfortable with. And you say, well, what does that mean, Avery? At IU I committed. But I remember leaving IU, John, and I remember seeing all these BMWs, Mercedes, all these nice big cars. These are cars that students were driving. Right. And I was just like, I got back, and then when I got to Appalachian, I started looking at the guys. They all reminded me of me. Most of the guys are first generation college students. The coaches were all authentic and transparent. Coach Woods told me, even though I started as a true freshman, Coach Woods said, listen, you know how you would talk slow and methodical. Mm-hmm. He said, you could be an All-American here, but I ain't promise you anything. You're going to have to earn it. Mm-hmm. We want football players here. We want guys who want to play and get excited about playing. And he didn't lie to me. He said, you got to earn it. Mm-hmm. And everybody else was not lying, but they were saying you could come in and start next year, this and that. But Coach Woods was very transparent. So after my visit, I got home. I got back to Gainesville, and it's ironic. You'll remember this, John. I'm sitting here as a 17-year-old because I turned 18 after I graduated from high school. As a 17-year-old, I'm sitting there in February, '89. Thinking about where I'm going to go to college. One, I'm excited because I get a chance to go to college. First one in my immediate family to go to college. And I'm thinking about these visits. And it just dawned on me that night. I'm thinking, I'm stressed out a little bit about it because I'm really leaning towards Appalachian, but I've committed to IU. Right. Coach Floyd was great. He did a great job of recruiting me. L.C. Cole at Wisconsin did a great job of recruiting me. But I'm sitting there thinking about this, and that night, divine intervention, you'll remember this, I'm watching ESPN, and the National Cheerleading Championship comes on. Mm-hmm. And Appalachian State wins it. Do you remember that?
I do not remember that.
But I'm sitting here going,
no, I don't, because we won the National Cheerleading Championship?
In 1989. Go Google it.
See, that's interesting because that would have been... So I was
Mary Kay and all those guys.
I was supposed to try out to be Yosef, and backed out because I met the other guy doing it. I'm
Mitch
like, well, I'll just
Garrison?
let him do it. I don't remember what the kid's name was.
Mitch Garrison was Joseph underneath that. But anyway, so when I
That's awesome.
when I saw that on ESPN, I was like,
That
that's
is
a sign.
divine intervention right there, yeah.
So when I committed, it's funny, in Gainesville, people are like, where are you going? Where is Appalachian State? You know, they didn't understand it. But now you fast forward now, man, that was the best decision I ever made. I met people like you. I met had great professors who cared about my academic growth. Had great coaches from Coach Moore to Ruffin McNeil to David Canals. I can go on, Gary Griffin. Just met my wife. Obviously, we got 2 beautiful kids. I mean, it was the best decision that I've made, and it's a relationship that continues to give. Because again, you know my love for Appalachian, our love for Appalachian, and so that's
everything I see. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
Story. That's how I ended up at Appalachian. But I was this close to being a Hoosier.
Yeah,
a Hoosier.
And you know, there was a couple things that I've first of all, you lived in Justice, so we now share something in common. So my first year I lived in Frank.
Okay.
Then I lived in Winkler, gone. Then I lived in Soul Train, gone. And of course you lived in Justice, gone.
And I was in Justice for 4 years too.
Yeah.
That's back when all the fourth floor was a football team.
And then you mentioned Geno's in a video one time. Holy cow.
That was a fun place.
The best thing that I was going to say to you today is there a nicer human being than Willie Fleming?
I tell you what, Dr. Fleming is awesome. And then let me tell you about Dr. Fleming. Now, you talked about earlier about Alpha Phi Alpha. You talked about Kappa Alpha Psi. You talked about Omega Psi Phi. We're talking about Phi Beta Sigma, AKA, and all that. Dr. Fleming was responsible for bringing all of those organizations to Appalachian. Now, so what does that mean, John? You know, you talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, okay? And I don't mind talking about it. Some people cringe when they talk about it, but it's important. And so as I tell Dr. Fleming, as we built a relationship over the last 28 years, and I'll say actually the last 34 years when I matriculated at Appalachian, you know, I couldn't sing in the gospel choir. Okay, and you know he had the gospel choir.
Oh, BSA was huge
BSA
at Appalachian.
Was awesome. And a quick story. My mother would never let me quit anything, but when she made me join the church choir, after the first practice, John, she said, "Baby, you can quit." That's another story. But the Dr. Fleming, he created a culture where we were, as African American students on the campus of Appalachian State, we felt comfortable and we felt like we were included. You know, a lot of people may say a party is a party is a party, but we had parties that were kind of geared towards NPHC. We had Black Awareness Weekend. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
And it just created. I didn't realize it at the time, but it just created a comfortable environment for students of color. Whereas you go to certain, I remember Ole Miss. I had a friend at Ole Miss didn't feel as welcome. You know.
Well,
and
I mean, as a PWC, Appalachian is not a PWC. I mean, there's no definition that it's a primarily white college. I mean, Appalachian is a melting pot, and I mean, BSA was huge. BSA was as huge as the Christian organization.
That's right.
Or whatever. I mean, there were three HBFs and what was it? Delta Sigmas and AKs, right? Mm-hmm. There were 3
National
Pan-Hellenic, and then the historically black fraternities were in IFC until they merged over into Pan-Hellenic. But I mean, it was.
But Dr. Fleming was behind a lot of that, and so he's special. And matter of fact, he's so special that obviously, you know, I work for a great company in Wells Fargo, and the bank has allowed me to take great care of clients and customers, but also take great care of my family. But we were able to start his scholarship fund with a contribution of $250,000, and I was proud. I was proud of that. And we just last year, at the end of last year, added an additional $10,000 to that. And of course, Christian and I made personal contributions. But Dr. Fleming was behind all of that culture and diversity at Appalachian.
No question. And I mean that coming from here to there. Appalachian's where I think everybody learned inclusion.
That's right.
More.
That's right.
Because I went to a historically, it was a Catholic high school, so we had one guy of color in our class.
Right.
Maybe two.
Right.
My wife went to, where was she? In Kansas. I mean, like, you might go 5 grades and there not be anyone that's black in the whole class.
But Appalachia, that's why it was a special place, though, because you had a lot of people with similar socioeconomic backgrounds. You remember I told you everybody has a story. Yeah. You had a lot of first generation students, white, black, Latino, Asian, but you also had a lot of just blue collar type folks at Appalachian, and that made for an environment where we all got along. People don't realize how much fun we had at Appalachian and how well folks got along, and that's why when you talk about the visit and converting from IU to Appalachian, that's why when I got there, I was like, whoa, I didn't know this was here. And it's a special place.
And everyone that was white collar acted blue collar.
That's right.
Did you notice that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so we got Christian College. All right, then I got one question, and we need to take a break, and then we're going to get into some more stuff, all right? Here's my question. What's it like to sack a quarterback?
Man, it's just, it's a shot of endorphin. Mm-hmm. It's not really the sack, it's the process of getting the sack. You've got to take that first quick step. You've got to use hand-to-hand combat to beat that offensive lineman, or two. In my case, I got double-teamed a lot. You got to know swim, rip. You got to know bull, what you're going to do. You got to keep that offensive lineman off balance the entire. I get excited talking about it. I apologize.
Yeah, no. And are we looking for the knuckles?
Yeah, I do. I did.
Right.
But you know what? You look at the knuckles, but you also look at the scoreboard. If it's 2nd down and 8, they may run the ball. But if it's 3rd down and 8, you know they're going to probably throw the ball. Now, when we were in school, everybody predominantly ran the football.
Right.
But getting past
straight
that
up the
offensive,
middle. Straight up the middle.
I'm sorry. But those guys, we were efficient around with. But getting to the quarterback, the process of getting to the quarterback was fun. And then knowing you get that sack. I from a 3 technique, which is inside. Right. I give all these guys that have passed me at Appalachian. I'm still, I think 5th on the list.
But now you do have a school record, right?
I do. I got tackles for loss record, and
right.
then I still have. I think I'm 5 on the sack list career-wise.
Right.
But I tell the guys I got that record when I had the record from a 3 technique, meaning that I was outside the guard or inside the tackle,
right.
and I was double teamed. And these defensive ends have just a tight end blocking them sometimes, or a tackle or whatnot, or back trying to chip them or whatever. But I tell them, you getting it from the 3 technique is harder, but the process of getting there was it's just fun. It's fun because you got to keep that guy off balance and you got to be quick. So I enjoyed it. It's a shot of endorphin, as I shared with you.
All right. Well, I want to come back and talk more about your family and Wells Fargo and all that kind of stuff, and more about Winston too as well. So let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Camel City Chat in Avery Hall. Welcome back, everybody. I've just learned how to, what is it? I'm supposed to swim and then...
Rip, and then you got bull rush.
Yeah. I'm here with Avery Hall. Avery, of course, is... What is your official title with Wells? It's business banker, vice president, exec. Are you president of the bank now?
Yeah. Well, you know what? The closer you get to the top, the more problems you have. So I don't.
More problems and less money.
That's right. Well, probably more money the further you get from customer. But I am a commercial banking leader for Wells Fargo, and I work in our emerging middle market segment. And let me explain that to you.
25 to 50?
Actually, 10 to 50 million in annual sales, and it's a part of our commercial bank. And in our commercial bank, we've got, like I said, 4 segments. We've got emerging middle market, which is 10 to 50 million in annual sales for customers, and then we have middle market banking, which is 50 to 500 million, and then we have mid-corp, which is 500 million up to 2 billion. And that's kind of how we take care of our clients, and of course the needs of our clients. That's the most important thing, and it gets a little more complicated as your annual sales grow and you do more. So that's why we have it segmented that way. But I cover the North and South Carolina territory.
Okay, how's your bank? You are out of the Kernersville branch, right?
I'm out of. No, my office is downtown Winston-Salem.
Really?
I am downtown Winston-Salem on Main Street.
So you're in the
tower.
The tower.
Hey, don't call. You probably got another name.
So wait, no, it's the cologne bottle. Are you?
That's a cologne bottle. I like
Is
that.
that the green one?
No, that's the white one. The white one, the big one.
You're in the other one. That's right.
right.
Yeah, the cologne bottle was Truist. I'm sorry.
That's right.
The cologne bottle. No, you're something else.
No, just kidding.
Yeah.
We all have a place in the banking
I don't even
ecosystem.
like to say that name. So, it's interesting how all the mergers have happened. I would have hoped that on that particular one they would have kept one of the two names rather than do that. But no. So
Well,
you're in that building.
I'm in the other building.
Yeah.
They've had all kinds of names for that building.
The second largest one in Winston.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's
exactly right.
All right, so we're playing football. We graduate. We're dating our wife at this time. And do you go NFL? Is there anything that happens with NFL? I know that several of my friends like you did some tryouts, et cetera, that type of thing, and then you went and then you did arena. So tell me that path for you.
It was interesting. I ran for the Cleveland Browns, the New York Giants, Green Bay Packers, and I actually thought Green Bay was going to pick me up.
Right.
But Tampa Bay showed a lot of interest. But I actually started working through the process, and I failed my physical. And I failed my physical because I had back surgery, and so obviously Coach Mike Kent, my defensive line coach, we're lobbying. We're saying, listen, this guy's played in 48 consecutive games at Appalachian. Yeah. He played in high school and didn't miss a game. He's durable. He can play. He's durable. But they were concerned about my back, and so that's when I signed the 2-year contract to go to Canada and spent time there. Didn't go back for the second year, and after that, I played a little arena football. And had a good time, arena football, played with the Charlotte Rage, and had a chance to play with Steve Wilkes again. Right. Had a chance to play with Tiger Green, who was a Western Carolina grad. I don't know if you remember, he played with Green Bay. Right. Andy Kelly, who was quarterback at Tennessee. And I say all these names because that was fun.
I'm not familiar with this Steve Wilkes guy.
He's just a great guy who graduated from Appalachia, another great mountaineer. But that was it. And you know what, John, things happen for a reason. I ended up getting an MBA, and obviously starting my
MBA from
career. Pfeiffer. That's right. Ended up getting my starting my banking career, and again, I've had a great career. I've had great customers, work with great team members. The bank has been very fair to my family, and that's I always talk about family. So things happen for a reason, and I know it's not being overly confident, but I know I could have played in the NFL.
There's no question about that. It's very interesting. I still, to this day, say that Armani Edwards should have been a quarterback.
That's right. Yeah. In the NFL. But had he come along now, he would have gotten a chance.
Right.
But everything's about timing. You got to understand, too, back in the early 90s, late 80s, Appalachian was not getting the shots, NFL shots that we're getting now. No. And so everything's about timing, but that's why you have to also go through life knowing life is not always fair, but it's good. Right. Okay. So that
there are some times that we participated in the good old days.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
You hear from the relatives, oh, the good old days, this is, but there are some times when we've been in that. And,
that's right.
I try to explain to people that, and I saw you've been to a couple Winston-Salem State games. I know you've asked, so we'll talk. Winston-Salem State games remind me of Appalachian games in the late 80s.
I concur.
Right.
I concur.
Right.
I tell.
But now they're even bigger than them.
Now I will tell you, you can't compare the Winston-Salem State women's basketball and men's basketball atmosphere to anything that we've seen. That is an incredible atmosphere.
It's crazy.
When you see, the band playing, you see the fans chanting, the gym is full for the women's game.
Right.
That's just an incredible atmosphere. I love the atmosphere. Football, I got a chance. It was really neat. This year I got a chance to attend about 4 or 5 games because when Appalachian played on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and a couple Thursday night games this year. So I was able to go to some Saturday games at Winston-Salem State and enjoyed it. And so you're right. It's pure football and a bunch of guys that are just playing hard, and I enjoy that environment. Yeah. I see your Winston-Salem State hat up there, so that's
so your children have represented my degrees.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have my MBA from Winston-Salem State.
Outstanding.
Yeah, I got it in 2014.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Good.
So yeah, and have a love of that school, and easy to get involved. Easy to get involved there
Very
too.
much
If you
so.
want to get involved with something, they'll take help anytime.
Well, and I also, John, being candid, growing up, I'm an Appalachian guy, through and through, and didn't, I lived here, but didn't know a lot about Winston-Salem State until my daughter showed interest in Winston-Salem State. But it's the best kept secret, I think, in this area.
I drove my wife over there. So 2012, I go over there. I drove my wife over there. She's like walking around going, "What is going on?" There. And this, now we're back to diversity inclusion. People do not realize how much of 52 was for socioeconomic.
That's exact line of demarcation.
Yeah. And if
Mason-Dixon line.
if you cross over that and go on, Winston-Salem State's got one of the prettiest campuses around.
It is a gorgeous campus. Some of your best nurses in this state have gone through there. Great MBA program. Teachers. College. I mean, they've educated a lot of teachers. I've learned a lot, and I've grown to appreciate the university. And I just have a different respect now for the university.
And I love how everyone's getting back into understanding we've got to support our HBCUs.
That's right.
Melinda Gates, or was it Bezos' wife? Bezos' wife did something there. And then how about Chris Paul? Chris Paul's a weight guy. He goes across the street, and now he's helping out Winston-Salem State and getting and involved there. I mean,
he's an awesome guy too.
Yeah.
I mean, he when he was on campus, my daughter sent me a picture. She and Chris Paul.
Right.
But I mean, he was engaging with the students, so he's a phenomenal guy. And I knew him when he played at West Forsyth. Just watching him.
Right.
But phenomenal guy.
But he also was real involved in trying to get kids to vote too.
Yep.
Back when that happened.
That's right.
So all right. So let's talk kids. Number 80 in the program, but number 1/number 2 in your heart, whichever one's in front of you. So, Avery Jr., wide receiver at Appalachian, red-shirted, last year played maybe one game or something like that?
He did.
All right, so how many years has he got left eligibility?
He actually has 2 years left.
2 years left, okay. So we're hoping to see him now because Hennigan's
gone.
Hennigan's gone,
You've got, Williams. You got Virgil's gone.
Yeah.
So he's going to have an opportunity. Now, unfortunately, he got hurt this past week, and he's going to have surgery.
Oh, this past week?
Yeah, he's going to have surgery on his shoulder Tuesday. But I admire my son, and I tell you why I admire my son. Obviously, he's my son. That's number one. But one, he had opportunities to go play places where he probably could play.
Right.
But he wanted to play at Appalachian. He had grown up all things Appalachian. Obviously, he has not played like he wanted to, but he has not quit. He has stayed with the program. He had the pressure of being Avery's son.
That's what I was going to talk about.
And,
I mean, even on his bio, it has all of your stuff on there, and I'm like,
yeah,
give the kid a break.
Yeah,
I mean, AJ's a great kid.
That's right.
And it's just so fortunate that his dad is also Avery.
Well, that's why I admire him, because he handled that in stride. He has communicated to me, Dad, I'm not you, I'm trying to be the very best I can be. And I was like, listen, son, that's all I want.
He's going to break out.
And
but that's what we pray for, just to break out, have an awesome season.
So I admire him because, again, he had to live, through that, and he's done well academically. He's going to graduate in May.
Right.
And so he's going to go to, he's kind of toggling between grad school or getting a PE certificate because he wants to coach.
Right.
He wants to coach and
stay at App and do
maybe
that,
stay at App, or he's thinking about high school. I mean, coaching in high school.
No, I'm talking about.
He's going to stay at App.
He'll do his 2 years there.
Yeah, he's got a decision to make. I mean, obviously, he'll have 2 years, and Winston-Salem State may be in his thoughts and ideas because, again, he may want to get a master's degree, and so we'll pray about it and see what happens. But right now, he will be at Appalachian.
So I believe this number more than I believe the other number. Your daughter is 6 feet tall. You are not 6'4".
No.
6'4". I saw that and I'm like,
I'm 6'2". I don't know where.
I thought this was 6'4". Was your 6'4", 275 was your number on the when you played?
No.
I'm
made that up, man.
But so
and plus I'm probably shorter now. I'm shrinking now.
Oh yeah. I'm 6 foot and 3/4 of an inch, and I'll bet you I'm below 6 now, and I'm still like, I'm 6'1".
Yeah,
I'm 6'1".
yeah.
So your daughter played. They didn't go as far as they wanted to in CIAA, but you got to watch her a lot. It's an easy run. That's the other thing about it. You can drive to a Winston-Salem State football game, and when the game's over, you're home in 30 minutes.
I love it. I love it.
Tell me about watching. It's Erin. I was making sure before I said it because I would have said Chris. But so tell me about Erin and her journey.
Erin, she obviously on the front end she surprises because she's smart. Both of my kids are National Honor Society students. Matter of fact, a good proud point too, a data point is my son was East Forsyth's Male Athlete of the Year his senior year. My daughter was East Forsyth's Female Athlete of the Year. They both did multiple sports, and so I'm proud of that. But Erin, they lost the year due to COVID, her freshman year. So she didn't really get a chance to experience college basketball and all the camaraderie and pageantry around that. But this year was really her first year of college basketball, and so she's had to get adjusted to the speed of the game. She had to get adjusted to the difference in high school and college basketball, which I thought she adjusted pretty well. Okay. She ended up averaging about four minutes per game. A total of like 71 minutes over the season. I'm a banker, so I can look at numbers. And she averaged 4 points, a couple rebounds, a couple block shots. So she
freshman forward.
Yeah. And so I was pleased. Obviously, she wanted to play more, and like I had to explain to her, basketball is all about matchups. Okay, and in the CIAA, you see a lot of 4 guards, 1 post lineups. And so Winston-Salem State's got like 3 or 4 post players, and they've got post players who are seasoned. And so for her to even get minutes, I was pleased. And so I was telling her, it's a situation where, coaches have to trust you. And so as she plays more, she's going to garner more trust from the coaches. And so I'm excited about where she is, but she has done outstanding, 4.0 GPA. I think after the last semester, she's maybe down to 3.96 or something, but done well academically. I feel like both of my kids are just hardworking, blue-collar kids, and so I'm proud of both of them.
I don't know Coach as well at Appalachian, but I do know Coach, obviously, at Winston-Salem State. She's been on the chat. I do feel that this is a blanket statement for both of them. You put in the work, you get the time.
Right.
For both of them, and they trust you more and
more.
Well,
and I tell my kids too, it's life is not fair, but it's good. Mm-hmm. And typically, the investment you put in, you'll get the return. You'll get an adequate return. Mm-hmm. I really believe that, John.
I do.
Okay. Yeah. What I tell my kids is 1, to stay ready, and that's mentally and physically. Stay ready. Mm-hmm. And oh, by the way, I'll use AJ as an example of this coaching and developing I try and give him. You've played at Appalachian now. He got on the field this past year. But I said, if you don't play down, you've developed some great relationships. You've learned accountability. You've learned discipline. You've got 80 brothers that you can call on for the next 40 years. Mm-hmm. You'll have something in common with, let's say 25 in each class, 100 guys you'll have something in common with, and you'll have a bond. I'm biased, but I firmly believe that if you're able to navigate a college, particularly Division I football program, people see the excitement on Saturdays, John, but there are 363 other days, or 353 other days that they're working their tails off. And they're balancing school, they're balancing relationships, they're balancing health issues or family issues at home. If you can navigate that, the world is yours. Because you won't come across, whether you're in healthcare, education, financial services, technology, you won't come across too many people that can outwork you. And you won't come across too many people that know how to navigate relationships, because you've been in a relationship with all these teammates, and everybody's different. Everybody comes from a different environment. Everybody's diverse. So I really believe in sports, and I think, like I tell AJ, you know, you're prepared and positioned very well for life, even if you don't play it down. And so that's what we kind of hang our hat on and talk a lot about.
It's kind of like when we were growing up, NASCAR was starting to get big, right? And everybody's like, oh, it's a bunch of hicks. Until you walk in, you see they've got freaking, trigonometry to figure out how to get just an extra.
It's amazing.
I mean, it's the craziest thing in the world. And people don't realize, I mean, your son has to be, what, is he on the field at 6:30 in the morning? Mm-hmm. Right?
5:30 a lot of mornings.
5:30.
Yeah.
Then he's in the weight room. Mm-hmm. Then he's in class. Then he's got position meetings.
That's exactly
then
right.
He's got.
Even now they're in spring practice right now.
Right.
I mean they've been going at it, right. And then once they're done with that, they start off-season conditioning.
Right.
And so again, everybody sees the glitz and glamour of the 12 weekends in the fall, but that's why I say 353 days of the year. It's a lot of work.
Right.
And that people don't see that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I want to talk about some. I mean, we got Hall of Fame for App for Northeast Georgia. App State 2019 Outstanding Alumni. You know, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. You're doing okay here, buddy. I'm going to give you that check. I'm just kidding. So you did Leadership Winston-Salem and Leadership Greensboro.
I did.
Which one's better?
You know what? I really
I'm not going to let you answer that.
Well, I don't mind that because, again, I'm authentic. Both cities, I think I gleaned a lot out of both programs. Now, keep in mind, I did the Greensboro program in 2001.
I was going to say, that's been a while back.
It's been a while, so they've probably tweaked their program.
Right.
And I did Leadership Winston-Salem in 2018, and I thought that the Leadership Winston-Salem program was a little more hands-on.
Right.
And give you an example. What do you mean by hands-on, in case somebody from Greensboro is listening and say, well, what do you mean? You know, like Social Services Day. I remember in Greensboro, you know, Social Services Day was bringing agencies into a classroom and then presenting. Social Services Day in Winston-Salem, you actually go out and you simulate having to go seek certain services, you know, within.
So you had to go to crisis control.
Control. You had to go apply for SNAP benefits, food stamps, and things of that nature. And that was a little more impactful.
Right.
And so both programs are very, very strong, very, very good, but that was the difference.
Right.
But keep in mind, Greensboro, I did that in 2001. Now, I still have relationships. The Kelly Harrells of the world, all the folks that I met in that program, we're still close, but that was the difference.
Don't like Catherine Perry, right?
I love Catherine Perry.
Mama?
That's my buddy.
What do you guys call her? Mama Hit or something like that?
Don't now that can get me in trouble now.
Yeah.
No, Catherine.
She admits it.
She does a great job. I always tell her we're all type A's, and she's definitely type A. But she does a great job, and she's tough, but she cares about people.
Yeah, she's a good lady. All right, so let's talk about some Winston-Salem stuff. Of course, people, I really want to talk about. I often ask people, you've been here long enough, you've seen where Winston-Salem was, you're downtown, you see where Winston-Salem's going. We're about ready to have Bailey Park Extension come in and all that kind of stuff. What do you see going on and what do you like?
Well, I tell you what I like about Winston-Salem is Winston-Salem has been able to adjust and pivot. And obviously we know about manufacturing, we know about tobacco, we know about the remnants of furniture coming in from the High Point, just different industries that have been touched. But I will tell you, life sciences, technology, healthcare, all of those industries are taking the necessary steps to be viable and to make Winston-Salem relevant. If you can adjust now relative to economic development, you don't feel those impacts now. You're going to feel it 20 to 30 years from now. And I think Winston-Salem has, the leadership of Winston-Salem, Mark Owens, and I can just name quite a few folks that I know that are around, working in that economic development ecosystem. They're taking the right steps. They're developing the right long-term relationships to make Winston-Salem, a viable community to work and play. I also think what Winston-Salem has done, as well as surrounding Triad area, is the focus on a region has been key.
Because it's getting there. It wasn't at first.
It wasn't 20 years ago. But
no, because we didn't like the other cities.
That's exactly right. But John, that's why I'm saying that Winston-Salem has pivoted and made adjustments, because now you look at, Boom, you look at Honda, you look at what's going on down in the Asheboro area. Right. What the work Stan Kelly's doing with the partnership. I know he's retiring. I know that, but I think the community has done a fantastic job of embracing change and accentuating ownership and change. Because if you don't, you're going to die a slow death. But life sciences, other technologies, healthcare, it's been neat watching those industries grow here in the Triad. Now, we've lost financial services. I mean, when I say lost healthcare, headquarters.
Right, yeah, no, Wachovia,
that was a Truist,
feather in the hat.
But both of the companies still have a heavy presence here. Wells Fargo as well as Truist. So I think banking is still relevant here. But I think that the area has taken the steps to be viable long term with the industries I've already mentioned. Okay.
All right. So I got a couple questions left, the first one is kind of the last one, but I want to ask it because I want to give you plenty of time. I often ask people, "What do you want to be remembered for?" And when I ask them that, it's not demise or anything. It's maybe retirement. But I think your question is a little bit more tailored on. You have a strong faith in Christ, and how has your faith guided you to what you want to be remembered for? Because Avery, as I said earlier, you are one of a million, and you truly are someone that cares about everyone that you run into every single day of your life, and that's just God's blessing. But so craft that question however you want to answer it.
I'll try and keep it simple. When I think of my faith, I always think about a couple of things. Well, first of all, I think about Jesus being a very, very humble man. Mm-hmm. Never traveled too far from home. People don't, but it's in the Bible. Mm-hmm. He washed feet. Mm-hmm. But this is also a man who, 2,000, 3,000 years ago, he had 12 disciples, and he said, go out and teach the word. Mm-hmm. And you think about leadership. You and I may not even be able to corral 5 people in this office and lead them sometimes, because everybody's got
if we're lucky.
Everybody's got their own agenda now.
Right.
But he took the disciples, and thousands of years later, we're still adhering to the teachings. That's leadership. And the humility to wash feet. People don't want to talk about that because now everybody dresses religion up. Mm-hmm. Everybody tries to sell religion. You don't have to sell the word because the word is the word.
Right.
But because he was humble, because he was a leader, I want to be humble and I want to be a leader. And leadership is one, avoiding an ego, being accountable, helping folks who the least of the. I really like to focus on the least of the, but truly embracing humanity. Mm-hmm. Okay, and we're getting away from that. And I have my moments. I get angry at society, and I have my moments where I'm not a great person. But I do think that humility and leadership are two of the things that people don't talk about when they talk about religion. Mm-hmm. But man, if you look at his body of work, you go, wow, he was humble and he was a great leader. Because we're still following that doctrine from thousands of years later. But you always want to be smart because we live in a different era, John. You used to help people and they would be appreciative and grateful. Now, sometimes you're trying to help people, they try and take advantage of it. And so you have to be smart about helping people now. But that's what I want to be remembered for. I want to be remembered for always being authentic and transparent. Mm-hmm. I want to be remembered for doing what's right, even if it doesn't win me friends. If I have to be countercultural, I don't mind. The older I get, I definitely don't mind. But but that's what I want to be remembered for. I want to be remembered. You remember I told you my daddy was not around. I didn't even know my father. I want to be remembered as a great father. Okay.
I think you've already got that one in the bag, by the way.
At my company, I work with great team members. I want to be known for the guy who will not tell you to do something, but walk with you to do something.
Sweep the broom.
And that's it. I want to be known as a guy who would do whatever it takes for our team to be successful. If I have to go sweep the floor, if I have to go clean the bathroom, I'll do it. And that's a different approach than the society that we're living in. Because we live in a society now, John, where everybody wants to go from graduating college to being the CEO of the company. And it's unfortunate because, again, I was sharing with someone just the other day, climbing the ladder of success, if you don't look at each rung as you're climbing, you're going to miss one. You're going to slide back down. So I want to climb that ladder, and each rung I want to stay in the moment. I want to learn. I want to grow. And that way when I step on the next rung, I've got stability. And we just live in a world where now everybody wants to just jump from the top and get on the roof. And,
longevity is the key.
But the key is climbing the ladder and making sure that you hit each rung and don't slip back down. So that's a long answer. It's a
good
answer, but that's what if at the end of the day when I'm sitting there resting in a casket, that's kind of what I want to be remembered for.
Okay. Yeah. I want to say thanks to Jeff Smith, Smitty's Notes. He sponsors us, and before we go,
Thank you, Jeff.
Jeff's a great guy. Before we go, you are involved in about everything. How do we get people involved in our community?
In our community, first of all, it's a situation where you have to meet people where they are. And I also believe to get people involved with anything, that individual has to have a passion. Because what you don't want is someone involved who's not passionate about what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Winston-Salem has so much to offer folks from arts, performing arts, sports, higher education, healthcare. Winston-Salem has just so much to offer. And I think what people need to understand when it comes to giving back to the community is everything you do matters. Okay, if you're concerned about safety, if you're concerned about the plight of the educational system, if you're concerned about health outcomes and access to health care, if you're concerned about politics, instead of talking about it and engaging and being part of the problem, get involved with the process. Mm-hmm. There are so many ways to get involved. You got to find your passion. If your passion is around young people, the PTAs are clamoring for volunteers. The YMCAs need volunteers. Certain agencies around town need volunteers. If you want to get into politics and change the trajectory of how governance is going, locally is the best way to get involved because we can't control things in D.C., but we can control things here locally. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of needs in Winston-Salem, John. I would always encourage people just to find their passion. What they're interested in, because if you're not interested and you're not 100% engaged, you're not going to be successful. That's just in life. You're successful at this because you love it. I can tell you love it.
Well, yeah.
And so that's what I would encourage people to do. How do you get involved? Find what you're passionate about. If it's mental health is huge right now. Domestic violence is still huge. People
Mm-hmm.
don't talk about it, John. But it's very prevalent in our community. Find what you enjoy doing, and get involved there. Don't go do something because you're going to be around the right people in the community, and you know what I'm talking about, or you're going to try and bolster your career. Just find your passion, and then go jump in, because there are a lot of needs around here in Winston-Salem.
Do you know why I'm passionate about this? Way Hall, baby.
Hey, communications.
Communications.
Baby. Hey, we were both there.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I talked to Laura. I try and give a lot to from a donation perspective.
Yeah.
I just made a contribution to the communications department, but man, Way Hall we both came out of that building.
Acock sent me a happy birthday message the other day.
Awesome. I saw Dr. Acock, man, in the seafood shack a while back, and it was just good to see him.
I got to reach out to him.
And
You know that's how Wilkes and I are friends.
Okay, yeah, he was communications major, public relations.
Yeah, no, but that's the story that,
Yeah. Well, I tell people too, Appalachia's got a lot of great programs from, the business school, health and allied services has come up, teachers college, obviously education department. But I tell people, if you can't communicate and you can't write, you can't do anything. And we had a fantastic, cohort of professors. Lena Joe Moore, Dr. Acock, Dr. Tyree. Do you remember Dr. Tyree? All those guys, they were just great. So
Jacob Matovu?
yeah.
That's how I'm friends with Austin Cavanis.
But Dr. Matovu was one of the hardest classes I took up there. And then also Nan Wolfe, public relations.
Yep.
Wilkes and I had to take that class. That was a hard class, but anyway.
Matovu was sick one day, and I said, I don't understand you. He says, you think you do better? You come up here teach.
Motherfucker.
And I said, and I'm like, hey, and I'm started doing all this stuff, and Cavanis was in the classroom. He goes, I'm the only person here who can say John McPherson was my college professor for a day. So,
that's awesome.
This is the man, folks.
That's the man. I'm just trying to, when I grow up, I want to be like John.
No. We're going to talk after this. If you want to learn how to be a better person, a better man, a better father, you're going to see him around town. Just reach out to Avery and
I'll pay him later.
Yeah, no. You need me to call your wife and tell her you're a good guy?
That's right.
Please call mine. But I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching Camel City Chat. We'll be back next week with more Camel City Chat. Take care, everybody.